Hey guys, welcome to another review. Today we're going to be talking about Season 8 of The Walking Dead, Episode 1, Mercy. Now this was an interesting episode. Do I think that the show is picking up? That's a question a lot of people have been asking. Yeah, I do think it's at least seeming like it's going to be a lot better than Season 7. Season 7 was a big it wasn't a terrible season, to be honest. There were good episodes, but overall it was a bit disappointing. It felt like we should have been going places that we just didn't. But here it feels like we're picking up, we're getting some action. It's not, all the action isn't done quite how I'd want it to be done, but that may be just a bit nitpicky. I will say that it's just not hitting the right chords at the right time. For me, this episode here, it's like almost good, but almost not at the same time. Would I call this a great episode? Not really, no. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. Part of that is because there's kind of a disconnect with the story, the action, and the characters. I feel like it's all kind of mixed in a little too much. There's a little too much going on, and I just hope that from now on we kind of start getting everything a little more smooth. Right now, everything feels a little bit truncated and chunky and thrown in there. Like, stuff that should be going on between several episodes, they're kind of just smashing into one episode hoping that, oh, it'll be a ton of action so everyone will love it. And we do love a lot of action, but at the same time we need to know what's going on to really understand the action or enjoy the action. And for me, I don't know, maybe I'm just really stupid, but it was kind of hard to follow the action. I had to watch it a second time to actually understand what their plan was. And it wasn't a great plan from the start, especially in this episode. My biggest complaint is, why were they shooting the windows above Negan? The whole time it feels like they could have killed Negan, they could have just killed Negan and all of his generals and it would have been over with, but they didn't. And the plan was perfect up till that point where they decided to do something weird. And of course we do see Negan kind of like dodge to the side a little, but if they're all firing automatic weapons in the same direction as Negan to try and kill him, the chances of him escaping would be so slim and so slight that it's actually kind of comical that we just see him skate away. So the only way that he would have survived is if they weren't aiming for him and they were just aiming for the windows hoping to draw the walkers, which was part of the plan, I guess, but at the same time that's a terrible plan. So, like I said, I did enjoy the episode. There was action. Negan had some funny lines. It was cool to see Negan again after a long wait between last season and this one. But overall, this episode was it just missed the mark. That's all I can say. It missed the mark. It's like it kept heading to the right place, but then falling just short. So we're going to talk about some of the aspects of this episode. First, the flash forwards. That is something that I find a little odd. Now, this may not be correct, but this is a bit of a guess of mine. It may be a huge spoiler if I'm correct, but since we have these flash forwards, they're showing us where they are in the comics, like more recently, having Rick with his short hair, using a cane and all that. I'm getting the feeling like this is more of a dream sequence or more of a Rick wishing that he gets to that point. But since we're seeing it like that, and we keep seeing Rick, he's all sweaty and scared looking and like sick looking at the same time, I'm getting the feeling that they may be killing off Rick. Now hear me out here. If they're going to kill Rick off, like the main character, the character that drives the show, wouldn't they do it towards the end of the show? Don't you feel like the show's kind of winding down and after Negan's gone and once we get into the Whispers, it's kind of probably going to be over by then, right? So if we're getting these flash forwards here and we're seeing Rick in this strange place, he's like sick, if they were going to kill Rick off, it would be throughout an entire season, because they wouldn't just kill Rick off in one episode and leave us all shocked. They'd be kind of giving hints to it the whole time to try and ease it in. And what we're seeing might be Rick dying throughout the season. Like here he's dying and he's thinking of what could be, but he knows he's not going to get there. That would be sad, heartbreaking. And it wouldn't be what I'd want to happen, but I'm just saying this is what I think might be happening. And what we may get instead is he may be bitten on the hand and he's having these flashes forwards and then he has to amputate his hand and then we get one-handed Rick. That would be actually pretty cool. I would like that a bit. But at the same time, it might be 1,000,001 things. What we could be saying is a flash forward. We could be saying what's going to happen, but I just don't feel like they would show us this stuff if it was going to happen. When have they ever done that? Like, have they ever shown Rick hanging out with Lori with their baby? No, but at the same time, did they show Rick with the baby by himself and you're like, hey, where's Lori? Is she dead? No. So we've never seen a flash forward like this before. I'm getting the feeling this is not just a time jump. This is an imagination of some sort, telling us that we're not going to get to that point. We're not going to have Rick as an old man. We're not going to have him with his baby growing up and his wife Michonne there. It would be too good, I guess. So I'm hoping that I'm wrong there, but that's why I think the flash forward might be. It might just be Rick dying throughout the season. So we're going to see like a few of these every other episode or so, and it's going to be like, oh boy. And I will mention the music that's playing when Rick's having the flash forward is a Weird Al Yankovic song, so I love that. Weird Al is just awesome. It was, and another one, Rides the Bus. Good song. Alright, so other things. We see that Dwight is working with them more. He gets the arrow into his tire, which you can tell pisses him off. It's like, but it shows that he's you can kind of see some regrets for him swapping sides here because Daryl's being a douche to him and Dwight's just got to work this out. That was an interesting little piece of character development that was very silent. We see him working with them, we see his reactions to what's going on here, and we know that they're planning something for tomorrow, I believe it said. Yeah, it just says tomorrow. But then that's pretty much as far as it goes with interesting character scenes. I feel like every other scene you just see people doing stuff and you don't really enjoy them doing it. You see characters talking. I think Rick talks to Father Gabriel, who I like Father Gabriel at this point, but they're just talking and it feels like there's no real need to it. Everyone interacting is just, I don't know, there's nothing new to be seen here, it seems. They have to try harder with the character development at this point. And what they do is, we have the main characters that we like, right? We like Rick, we like Daryl, we like Carol. We like, even Morgan. Morgan's getting more likable at this point. We may like Morgan. But the characters that we're seeing are the lesser characters, and they're getting pushed to the foreground, and everything else is kind of falling behind. So we're seeing all these new characters and stuff. We don't really care about them. We're not going to care about them, no matter how much you show them to us sometimes. I know some people are fans of some of the characters. I'm not. I know Tara, a lot of people are fans of her. She's annoying to me, but she has this Twizzler in her mouth the whole time. It just annoyed me that she's there chawing on some Twizzler. It's just things like that where the characters are just boring background characters that are being pushed forward, and we're seeing too much of them to the point where the cool stuff that Rick and Daryl do are kind of just like tiny little amounts. You don't see much of it. Like in this episode, you see Daryl with that new gun. That's awesome. I want to see more of Daryl running around with his new gun, killing zombies and stuff. That'd be cool. But instead we're seeing like a quick minute of him, then a quick minute of this person, quick minute of that person, quick minute. It's just not enough time to dwell on the characters that we enjoy. And that's why I feel like this season's kind of not starting off too well. Like always we see, we always follow like one group at a time. Normally this episode would be like 3 episodes or so. We'd see what Rick's doing. We'd see what Daryl's doing with his group. We'd see what, it was Rick, Daryl, we'd probably see what another group is doing. I don't know. But it would all come together in one episode, and then we'd finally see like the outcome. Instead, we get all this thrown together in one episode, and it just feels kind of stretched too thin. I didn't like the way it turned out, that's all I'm saying. But okay, other things we see in the episode that were cool. We see Carol on the bridge when the zombies are passing under. That was cool. When they're all luring the zombies to Negan. Seeing the plan unfold to a certain point was pretty cool, because we're like, this seems like an interesting plan, let's follow it. And like I said, it all comes down to how the plan turns out, which the plan is just terrible once it's over. It's all this perfect planning, this great timing. They have to use so many resources to pull it together. The ammo they use in this episode alone is just ridiculous. They're just unloading every 5 seconds, it seems. And it would be fine if their plan actually came to anything. What we end up with is they all pull together, come to this one point at the Savior's place, and open fire at his windows while he's standing right there, and then the windows come dropping down, the zombies come up, and no one from the Saviors dies. As far as I can tell, no one died. And Gregory, I will say, is the worst character ever, which is a good thing. We have to have characters that we hate, otherwise there'd be no point to it. It's weird, I hate Gregory more than I hate Negan. Negan, you know, he's the leader, he's a man, he does what's right, but then, well, right for him, you know. But then you've got this puny, simpering man of Gregory, and you just hate him so much, you can't help it. And I love that. I love that you can still have characters that you hate. That's what we need in a villain, usually. But that's what's weird about Negan. He doesn't feel so much like a villain as much as a main character that you want to see kind of adapt and grow to love. But he's the one that you also want to see die, since you don't want the main characters to lose. There's a weird dynamic there where you just want to see Gregory die and Negan become part of the group. At least for me and most people I've talked to, that's how it's turned out. Alright, other things that happened in the episode. That one scene where Rick shows no mercy to that one guy, that was awesome. Where he beats the crap out of him. He's like slices him, I believe. The guy starts talking back, and then he just straight up cuts the zombie loose on him, and that was awesome. That's probably the best scene in, I'd say, the last season or so. We haven't gotten a scene as cool as that. That's my favorite death of the season, at least. And then, what else do we get? They were taking out Saviors throughout the entire episode. That was cool. Seeing the Saviors just losing here and there, it's like, that's what we need to see after Season 7 being so much of a loss. And then everything else in the episode kind of feels like you can kind of pass over it, gloss over it. There's not too much. Let's see. Where Negan dodges the bullets, I will say, that is ridiculous still. Alright. And then, of course, what we end up with is Negan is pinned down, Rick's shooting at him. It seems like Rick could just reposition a little and get him, but instead, for some reason, Father Gabriel stops him, even though so let's say that by some chance Negan actually is supposed to survive the bullets that they fired at him when he went running, right? So like in the show, how does that happen? I don't know, but he survives that, and then Rick's got him pinned, and somehow he survives all the bullets that are coming here, and Rick doesn't reposition to get him. You can even see parts of Negan sticking out, so of course Rick should be able to get him, right? But whatever. Father Gabriel stops him for no reason that I can tell, which is bad writing in my opinion. There's some bad writing and bad directing in this episode, to be honest. The action is done so badly, I would say, that you don't quite understand the motives of the people that are attacking. It's just like, why are they here shooting at Negan at all if their intention is really not to do any of that? But, so he survives that, he survives the bullets, then he survives all the walkers that come up. It's just, Negan is apparently a god at this point, he can't be killed, and keep in mind, he's already survived a bullet that Rosita tried to get him with when it hit his back. So we're getting a lot of Negan just barely scraping by. Want what would be better than that? Negan doesn't just walk out into the open when there's people with guns running. How about that? How about Negan just like stands by the window and he's yelling out with his brave, loud voice? Wouldn't that be more like it? Wouldn't that be something that we'd want to see? But no, instead we see Negan get slapped around, but survive it somehow. And then Father Gabriel gets Rick out of there, and then goes back for Gregory, which is the dumbest thing Father Gabriel has done in at least 2 seasons. And then because of that, it seems like Father Gabriel might die. But Gregory gets in Gabriel's car, takes off, and Gabriel has to run from the zombies into a place where, of course, Negan is waiting, because why the hell not? And then Negan's like, I hope you're wearing your crapping pants, because you're about to crap your pants. Something about, in the preview that didn't seem so cheesy, but when I watched the episode, it was like, something about that, man, that line was just, that was a little cheesy. And, you know, what I think is going to happen with Father Gabriel, I think we're going to get an episode where he's, like, tortured, maybe, and he might be killed. So, it's unfortunate. I like Father Gabriel, but you know, The Walking Dead can't go long without killing off a main character, and they're probably choosing him because in the comics, Father Gabriel doesn't have much of an arc to the point where he ends up dead and it doesn't really affect the story at all. So I feel like they're kind of sticking more to the comics, and they're like, you know what, we don't really need this guy. So instead of just having him a background character that doesn't really do anything, let's just kill him off. So I would prefer if Gabriel stuck around and was a good guy, but we never get that. So tell me what you guys thought of the episode. Tell me what you thought about the review. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.